traffic accident here at National, and a number of emergency vehicles were dealing with that. Then suddenly we saw this, and I would say within a couple of minutes they were all tearing out of here, heading toward the Pentagon. We asked folks here. One of the police officers told me that he had heard a plane had gone into the Pentagon. Obviously, more of the situations in New York. People here are extremely nervous, and some are saying that they wanted us to leave this area. We don't know if they're going to shut down the airport or evacuate this place. If this is a concern, at this point, people are still here, but there is concern about the safety of this place. Obviously, with these bombs going off or planes crashing into buildings all over the place. But that's it here. As you can see the smoke, and you can see, paper flying about. Yes, Carol.
Sam, a question for you. We understand that there is a tail section of a plane sticking out of the Pentagon, and a plane did hit the Pentagon. Is that true?
Well, at this point, Carol, we are at National Airport, so all we can really see is the flame. Now, I understand we have some photographers over at the Pentagon. I cannot tell you exactly, but from our vantage point, we see smoke.
Sam, if I can interrupt, we do have an eyewitness who actually saw this event take place. They're on the phone with us now. Is it Mr. or Ms. Gurman?
Mr. Gurman.
Okay, Mr. Gurman, tell us what happened.
I saw a big explosion, a ball of fire. My window rattled, and I looked at it. It was a big ball of fire and the smoke coming out. But I'm looking at it right now. It missed the Navy Annex. It missed the Pentagon. It's like missed so many high-rise buildings. It hit probably a parking lot, or there's a cemetery behind the Navy Annex.
Mr. Gurman, did you actually see a plane?
I didn't see a plane. I heard the explosion. I thought it was a flyby because I live next to the airport. My window rattled. I looked out. I saw a bowl of fire and just smoke coming out.
Are you feeling nervous right now, Mr. Gurman?
Oh, very much so. I thought I was hit. I mean, the building shook so much.
Well, you're not the only one, that's for sure. As we keep you on the phone, and Sam as well, we're now getting reports that the White House has been threatened here. We're also getting reports that Capitol has been evacuated. The West Wing of the White House evacuated to go along with all this. What started at 8:40 this morning, New York, is now threatening, of course, our city, our safety, and a lot of folks
and
very concerned.
The pictures you're looking at right now are from our live cameras. You can see smoke pouring near the Pentagon. Mr. Gurman, do you want to add anything? I can hear you're still on the phone with us.
I'm trying to get out of here because I live a few miles from the Pentagon.
Okay, you get going, Mr. Gurman. We understand. Thank you for joining us. Let's go to a White House shot that we have right now. The White House West Wing has been evacuated, as we understand. We know that President Bush is not there, but he is on his way back to Washington. You can see the armed guards on top of the White House keeping watch. But at this point, they, as well as we, don't know exactly what's going to happen, but everyone is on standby, as you might expect.
And as you mentioned, in case people are wondering and didn't see President Bush in Florida for an educational issue down there, he made a brief announcement about this and said he was on his way back here to deal with it, and of course saying that the terrorist acts will not be tolerated and that they will be looking into it. But after he made that comment is when it happened at the Pentagon. At that time, only the two planes had crashed into the Twin Towers, the World Trade Center in New York.
We wish you could tell you more about what's going on in our own backyard at the Pentagon. We don't know if there were any injuries. We do know there was a construction scene on the scene at the time. We do know when they heard something explode, they turned around and they started to run. We do not know if anyone inside the Pentagon or around it was hurt.
Okay, we have another person on the phone. Janet, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
We understand that you witnessed this plane, a plane crash into the Pentagon?
Yes, sir, I did.
Tell us exactly what you saw.
Well, I live in a high-rise building just outside of Roslyn, and I was actually glued to the television, and I have an office here, and it's all glassed in, and I saw a plane just coming right in front of my window, flying at a path that the commercial planes do not fly. Not coming into the direction to land at National Airport.
How big was the plane?
It certainly looked larger. Every once in a while there's a flight path difference for smaller private planes that come in. This was not a small private-looking plane. It looked more like sort of a commuter-type plane.
And you said
it was sizable, yes.
And then you said it was headed directly to the Pentagon.
Yeah, it was heading in the direction of the airport, and I thought, this plane is way too low, and there's no runway that it goes in that direction, and it didn't turn at all. And as soon as I saw it, I knew it was way too low and not on a flight path that I'd ever seen before living here.
Okay, and what did you hear?
I couldn't hear anything from where I am. I just saw the plane just disappear out of my sight beyond the trees, and then I just saw massive billows of smoke. And then a few minutes later, I heard it was, and it basically is obviously right where the Pentagon is. I can't see the Pentagon; it's covered with trees.
Are you in a safe place right now?
As far as I know, I mean, I'm in my apartment where I live, so I am on the 13th floor of a high-rise in Roslyn here.
Oh.
We can see on the bottom right-hand corner of our screen, you can see the firefighters spraying at the Pentagon, trying to put out that fire. Jan, were you already aware of what happened in New York when you saw this coming?
Yes, sir, I was. I was glued to the television because I actually am running an event in New York at the end of the week.
Oh, you poor thing. Okay, we're going to go back to our Sam Ford, who's at Reagan National right now. We understand the FAA has taken some action. Sam, can you tell us what it is? Tell us what you saw.
I was in the, I live at the Overlook Apartments, and I was doing some exercises, jump roping, and this plane came increasingly fast, almost close enough to, if it headed this direction, hit the building that I'm in, which is an 8-story building, but it was aiming for the, in the direction of the Pentagon, and then all of a sudden I see this puff of smoke, and I just ran over to Columbia
so you didn't actually
to get a better view of it.
So Charles, you didn't actually see it hit, you just saw it to a point, and then you saw the smoke?
I just saw this plane coming very, very fast, going in that direction as I was listening to you guys talk about what happened at the World Trade Center.
And where you live, obviously, it's close enough to Reagan National, but that's not a flight path you normally see.
Right. Well, I'm closer to the Pentagon than to Reagan National.
Okay, but obviously planes flying over there on a daily basis.
This is usually not the flight path of any aircraft.
Mr. Tanner, we do have more information about exactly where that plane crashed. We understand right now from the AP that it crashed near a helicopter landing pad near the Pentagon. So as far as we know, it didn't crash directly into the Pentagon. From where you are, Mr. Tanner, are you okay? Are you safe?
Well, unless, of course, the plane decides to hit this building, yes, I think I'm very safe.
Can you believe that this is happening in Washington, D.C., Mr. Tanner?
I want to say yes and no, okay, because of different terrorist activities and things of that nature, and because of what happened at the World Trade Center, I would say that it doesn't surprise me. I'm just a little shaken that it has happened.
And I'm not sure when we talk about that helicopter pad, if it's the one that's on the west side where you drive by all the time on the main street, that you can see if there's another one there as well that a lot of folks go by them on a daily basis.
We quickly want to recap before we return it to ABC News. The State Department has now been evacuated. The White House has been evacuated. The Capitol has been evacuated. There was a credible threat to the mansion, which I'm talking about the White House here, and so the entire White House has now been evacuated.
Of course, this all started in New York about 8:40. We want to go back to ABC News and allow them to continue their coverage of this entire and unbelievable incident that's going on. I'm Don Hudson, along with Carol Costello.
The second one was after that. And John Miller, you're listening.
Actually, it's interesting. There's no way to characterize any part of this as fortunate, but if you look at cities who are prepared to handle an incident like this, and as you've seen New York's emergency response to this, it is probably one of the few places that is prepared with the kind of equipment, response, and rescue efforts that could actually address something like this. And Washington is probably the other. Immediately when this happened, the entire emergency service unit, which comprises hundreds of specially trained cops, was mobilized to the scene. Now a triage center for the injured has been set up just around the corner from the World Trade Center. It's an incredible scene down there with a tremendous amount of equipment.
The Federal Aviation Administration has actually gone even further than it did a few minutes ago. It was asking all planes not to take off. Now the FAA has ordered all aircraft currently in the air over the United States to land at the nearest airport. Now you can imagine what may be happening, or what they think might be happening in some part of the country, that there is somebody else on some aircraft coming from somewhere or going somewhere with evil intentions. And so all aircraft currently in the air over the United States have been ordered to land at the nearest airport.
I think what you're going to see...
I just want to check one thing, because one of the very first people the President talked to was the Director of the FBI, and Pierre Thomas, who covers the Justice Department and the FBI for us, has been here. They may think they prepare for this kind of thing, Pierre, but man, it must have been a shock.
stunning shock. The FBI Special Operations Center is now in full alert. The FBI extremely concerned that there would be additional attacks. Normally when you have a situation like this, they immediately get on the line with the CIA, the various intelligence agencies, trying to get a sense of who might have been planning something. But right now, the first order of business is to protect against a second attack, third attack. The feeling is normally when you have this kind of situation, there will be more attacks almost immediately.
Let's go to the trade tower again, because, John, we now have a... What do we have? We don't...
Wow. It looks like a new plume, a new large plume of smoke.
Now, it may be that something fell off the building. It may be that something has fallen. We don't know, to be perfectly honest. But that is what you're looking at, is the current. That's the scene at this moment at the World Trade Center. Dan Daler from ABC's Good Morning America is down in the general vicinity. Dan, can you tell us what has just happened?
Yes, Peter, it's Don Daler down here. I'm 4 blocks north of the World Trade Center. The second building that was hit by the plane has just completely collapsed. The entire building has just collapsed, as if a demolition team set off. When you see the old demolitions of these old buildings, it folded down on itself, and it is not there anymore.
That should be it.
Thanks very much, Dan.
Completely collapsed.
The whole side has collapsed?
The whole building has collapsed.
The whole building has collapsed?
The building has collapsed.
That's the southern tower you're talking about.
Exactly. The second building that we witnessed the airplane enter had been, the top half had been fully involved in flame. It just collapsed. There is panic on the streets. Thousands of people running up Church Street, which is what I'm looking out on, trying to get away. But the entire, at least as far as I can see, the top half of the building, at least half of it, I can't see below that, half of it just started with a gigantic rumble, folded in on itself, and collapsed in a huge plume of smoke and dust.
We're talking about massive casualties here at the moment, and we have... Whew. That is extraordinary.
There is panic on the streets. There are people screaming and running from the site. The gigantic plume of smoke has reached me, and I'm probably a quarter of a mile north of there.
Peter.
Now, this is what it looked like moments ago. My God. The southern tower, 10 o'clock Eastern time this morning, just collapsing on itself. This is a place where thousands of people work. We have no idea what caused this. If you wish to bring anybody who's ever watched a building being demolished on purpose knows that if you're going to do this, you have to get at the under infrastructure of a building and bring it down.
Peter?
Yes, Dan.
What appeared to happen from my vantage point, the top part of the building was totally involved in fire, and there appeared to be no effort possible to put that fire out. It looked like the top part of the building was so weakened by the fire that the weight of it collapsed the rest of the building. That's what appeared to happen. I did not see anything happening at the base of the building. It all appeared to start at the top and then just collapse the rest of the building by the sheer weight of the top. There was no explosion or anything at the base part of it, but I did see that the top part of it started to collapse. The walls started to bulge out, bricks, glass things coming out, and then it collapsed in on itself, and it appeared to just fold down from there, from the very top.
Thanks, Don, very much. Just looking at that, I don't know why, but when was the last time the United States was attacked in this fashion? It was Pearl Harbor in 1941. John?
From the scene now, there's obviously massive casualties. Usually during these things, there's a little bit of a high pitch, but basic calm over the police radios among the emergency workers. I can hear them screaming, signal 1013, which is the police code for help.